Hey everybody, we're here in Maynooth University at the Centre for Ocean Energy Research. We're going to talk to some researchers who are trying to turn wave energy into electrical energy. So let's go in and see how to do it. So we're inside here in the Centre for Ocean Energy Research, and I'm going to talk to a mechanical engineering student, Eduardo, who came the whole way from Italy to work on figuring out how to make this wave energy. Eduardo, thanks for letting me in.
Welcome. So here at Maynooth University, we study wave energy converters, and wave energy converter control. So we try to catch energy from the motion of the waves in different type of way of doing. So, for example, you can see here an oscillating water column that is a concept to try to catch energy from the wave motion.
Okay, so you say an oscillating water column. What does that mean exactly? And how does this machine here in front of us work?
So I'm going to show you a little bit of this. So as you see, here we are trying to simulate the motion of the waves. And you can see that water comes inside this chamber, and this chamber generates a difference of pressure because the air is pushed by the water that comes here.
Okay.
So the difference of pressures is converted into electrical energy through this type of turbines.
Okay, so what you're saying to me is as this water goes over and back in a wave, it changes the pressure inside this chamber, and it causes this to spin round and round and round super fast, which we can use to generate electricity.
Exactly. So this is one of the concepts for making energy from waves.
I'm a bit curious about something. If the air is going up and down and up and down, as the pressure changes, why is this only spinning around one way?
So actually, the blades of this type of turbine are designed in order to guide the air in a way that is able to make it goes only and spin only one way.
So there's a special design that's been made up with this so that it will just spin around one, and that's better for generating electricity.
Exactly. So you are able to get only one way that is the best one to
Okay, fantastic. Do you have any other devices here that you can show us?
Yeah, exactly. So we can go to the other part and to see the other devices.
Great. All right, so Eduardo's after bringing me down to their other lab, and we have some other device that's going on here that they use to simulate. So can you tell me what we're looking at here, Eduardo?
Oh, so actually this is a demonstration thing, and you can see there is, for example, here, the beach. So we try to simulate the motion of our device, but we want to avoid the things that doesn't happen in reality. So we want to avoid the reflection from the beach that actually is what happened in the coast.
Oh yeah, if this wasn't here, the waves would bounce back and throw off the experiment.
Exactly. So the other things that, for example, that you can see here is the things that we use to demonstrate the wave motion, so to generate waves, similar to the flap that we saw in the other facility.
Yes.
And finally, this thing here, the point absorber, that is actually another popular concept in wave energy. So it's a concept in which instead of using the motion that is generated from the waves to the air, we try to exploit the motion that the waves generate to a floating hull. So actually, for example, this one is a Wavestar type of point absorber that is hinged here.
Okay.
But there are different other type of devices in which, for example, are only floating things that are moored on the seabed. But the main thing is that in every device of this type, we can try to exploit the motion and transform the motion of the waves in energy.
Okay, can we see it in motion?
Yes, obviously.
Okay, so the wave comes by and it causes this little red part to bounce up and down.
Exactly.
And it's connected here to what? This would be a generator?
Yeah, exactly. This is a generator, and actually one of the tasks, or the things that we try to do in our lab is to try to guide this generator with an intelligent control system, trying to maximize the energy that we are able to make.
So you need to have a interesting like electrical engineering and coding and all that going on in here to get as much as you can from this.
Exactly. So we try to put it in resonance and try to catch the much energy that we can get.
So maybe we'll go and talk to someone else who's doing a little bit of research on the coding and the computer sides of stuff.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for your explanation.
Thank you.
So now I've come over here to talk to Madia, who came the whole way from Iran to work here in Maynooth on wave energy, and she's an electrical engineer. Thanks so much for talking to me, Madia.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so I've been told that you do the kind of technical computer coding, computer simulation, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And I'd really like to know how that works. What sort of stuff do you simulate?
Okay, I'm simulating the wave energy converters and numerical wave tanks, coding them and doing the simulations numerically.
Okay, so doing it numerically, does that mean you literally type in codes into your computer and it makes like a computer model of the real thing?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and how do you do it? Do you do it on your computer here, or what way does it work?
Actually, they are heavy computational for this, and I'm connected to supercomputers of Ireland, which name is iCheck.
Okay, so you do modeling on supercomputers?
Yes.
Okay, cool, because normal computers can't handle it. And so what do you have to model? Do you have to model the waves? Do you have to model what bits and pieces do you have to make?
So I model the wave energy converter, the device, the numerical wave tank, and the waves. I simulate and I get the results about the motion of the wave energy converters and then analyze them.
Okay, fantastic. So you're able to literally make digital versions of these on a supercomputer and see how they all interplay, and you can tell the guys who are building them, you need to adjust this because it'll be more efficient if you do it this way, due to your computer experience.
Yeah, I changed the parameter to see in budget situation the device is more efficient, and tell the guys how to do in the actual situation.
Fantastic. Well, that's really interesting. Thanks so much for telling me about that. And I'm going to go and have a look at some of the actual mechanisms in the real sites. All right, so I'm in here with Professor John Ringwood, and he's the head of the Centre for Ocean Energy Research. Thanks so much for letting us into all your labs, John.
My pleasure.
Well, we had a great time chatting to some of your students, and they had some really interesting insights on how to try and work on this wave energy. So do you have a big team of people working here?
We've around about 20 people between PhD students and people beyond their PhDs, postdocs, some academics, and also some exchange students, both at the PhD level and also intern students at the undergraduate level from a variety of countries and institutions. And it's fantastic to have this broad selection of people with different nationalities and expertises.
Yeah, it's fantastic. People coming from all over the world to all work together on this problem. And are they all engineers or electrical engineers or scientists, or what are their backgrounds?
Most probably are engineers, but from a range of disciplinary backgrounds, which would include electrical, electronic, mechanical. Then we have mathematicians, we have physicists, applied mathematicians, and a whole variety of people that tackle the different areas that are involved.
Fantastic, yeah, because we saw that you can have these little tanks where you can kind of show the principle, and then you can do computer simulations. And I'm wondering, what's the next step?
Well, the next step is to make sure that these things that work in simulation, and the models, the computer models that we used have been validated against some real world data that we take the measurements from. But the next step is probably one of these, which essentially is a hardware simulation and would be electrical engineering in its nature. That simulates, well, a little bit. I mean, this is the power takeoff part, or the generator part, and then we simulate the motion of the waves by this motor which drives the generator.
Oh, so you can get a motor to make the generator move up and down so that you can copy what would happen in the ocean.
Exactly, and we're able to use quite a reasonably large scale here, so we're getting a realistic measure of what happens with a real device without having to put it into a wave tank, which is quite expensive. And to use a wave tank, let's say for this scale, we would require probably something like a 25-meter swimming pool sized wave tank, which are quite expensive to run.
Yes, it makes sense to have everything figured out beforehand. Okay, well, this sounds really interesting, and I suppose, is Ireland a good place to do wave energy?
Well, I mean, there's a fantastic wave energy resource. It's interesting when you look around the lab at the nationality of the people there.
Yes.
Some countries are very good at particular disciplines, so we really have a broad range of disciplines that we draw from. In terms of the climate, as I mentioned, it's fantastic. And then we have some tank testing facilities as well in Ireland, but we also use some facilities abroad.
Okay.
And we have collaborations with other academic institutions and companies both in Ireland and abroad as well.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. So what I'm curious about is, it seems like a no-brainer. It's like we can just let the waves come every day and we can get electricity from it. Why aren't all our homes being powered by wave energy yet?
Well, it's a more difficult technical problem, I think, than wind, for example. And that's why it's been later to come to fruition. Wind energy, if we go back to the windmills of hundreds of years ago, they've been refined in terms of their design and their technology to something now that's able to compete economically with a lot of the other conventional power sources,
Yes.
while wave is much later to arrive because of the difficulty in the technology. And one other major issue is that there are so many different principles that you can use to harness wave energy.
Okay.
Unlike, for example, wind energy has more or less conversion technology. So most people, if you ask them what a wind turbine looks like,
Yeah, they can draw it out straight away.
exactly, it's a three-bladed propeller
Yes.
on a big pole.
Yes, but there's
You know.
lots of different options for wave energy, and all of these scientists and engineers around the world are all trying to figure out the most logical option to use. So, has anyone generated electricity, even a little bit, out on the ocean? Have they been able to do it?
They have. There are various full-scale test sites. One, in fact, off the coast of Ireland at Belmullet.
Oh, yeah?
And there's the European Marine Energy Centre in Orkney off the coast of Scotland.
Okay.
And they are grid connected. So the opportunity is there for people to test devices, but they are prototype devices, but they have generated electricity, you'll be happy to know.
Fantastic.
Even though that electricity maybe is not available commercially to buy,
Yes.
or that you can't, for example, get onto a website and buy a wave energy converter in the morning. Not just yet, at
You
least.
can't buy it on eBay.
Not at the moment.
Okay, well, this is great because it sounds to me like any of the kids who are watching at home could absolutely get into wave energy, because it seems like we need lots of young, smart people to come out and figure out the best design, and maybe we can be generating wave energy off the coast of Ireland to power all our homes and schools. So, John, thanks so much for having me here. It was lovely to meet your students. It was lovely to see the principles behind what's going on, and it's lovely to see that there is a future here for wave energy. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We're looking forward to seeing you on the next episode, and bye-bye.